What you're about to watch is a true story, an event that really happened to real people. This true crime account may be disturbing to both viewers and listeners. Thus, discretion is strongly advised.
They say the truth always comes out in the end. But how many of us have kept secrets from those we love? Think about it for a moment. Maybe a small lie about where we were last night or a hidden purchase we're not proud of. We justify these little deceptions, don't we? We tell ourselves they don't matter, that what they don't know won't hurt them. Some of us are carrying these secrets right now. The unopened bill is hidden in a drawer. The text messages we delete. The white lies we tell to keep the peace. We convince ourselves it's better this way, safer this way. But here's the question that should keep us up at night. Where do we draw the line? At what point does a secret become so heavy, so dangerous, that it explodes? When does a lie become deadly? For one Georgia sheriff's deputy, that moment came on a quiet October evening in 2021. As Shakeema Jackson lay wrapped in a blanket, scrolling through Facebook in the comfort of her own home, she had no idea that in just 12 hours, a truth was set to come out in court. A truth about her husband's secret children. A truth he had desperately tried to hide with fake DNA tests and elaborate lies. A truth that would never see the light of day. Because he had already decided that truth would die with her. Before the sun rose the next morning, both Shakeema and her brother Levoy would be dead. Their bodies were left cold in the same house where Shakeema's 17-month-old son slept upstairs. All because one man's web of lies had grown too big to contain. Welcome to True Crime Stories 24/7. If this is your first time here, my name is Davis, and I want to thank you personally for joining us. Please kindly take a moment to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest stories. On this channel, we don't share stories to shock you, but to help you recognize the warning signs that could save lives. The truth is, most victims never see it coming. They miss the red flags, ignore their gut feelings, trust the wrong people, and ultimately suffer the consequences. We don't wish for evil to befall anyone, which is why we share these stories, so we can all learn from them. So go ahead, smash that subscribe button and join this community. This is the story of how a respected law enforcement officer, a loving mother, and a dedicated public servant became the victim of the one person she should have been able to trust most. This is the story of how a brother tried to protect his sister, only to share her tragic fate. But most importantly, this is a story about how secrets and lies can turn deadly in the blink of an eye. Before we reveal how this tragedy unfolded, let me take you back to a time when Shakeema Brown Jackson was known for her bright smile and positive spirit. In 2018, she joined the Fulton County Sheriff's Office as a detention officer. Her colleagues remember her as someone special, the kind of officer who would greet every inmate with respect each morning, no matter how they treated her in return. Even on the toughest days, Shakeema's warmth never faded. By late 2021, her hard work had paid off. After 3 years of dedicated service, she earned her promotion to deputy sheriff. It was a proud moment, not just for Shakeema, but for her entire family. Her mother, Zona Inman, beamed with pride. Her brother Levoy was always her biggest cheerleader. And her husband, Jaquavia Jackson, stood by her side at the ceremony, playing the part of the supportive spouse. At home, Shakeema was a devoted mother to their 17-month-old son. She would often share pictures of their little family on Facebook, capturing moments that seemed perfect on the surface. Their toddler's bright eyes and innocent smile. Family gatherings filled with laughter. Holiday celebrations that looked like something out of a magazine. But behind those carefully curated photos, a darkness was growing. A web of lies was being spun so thick that it would eventually suffocate everything in its path. Her brother Levoy Brown was different from most 30-year-old men. While others chased success in traditional ways, Levoy found his passion in photography and music. He had an eye for beauty and a talent for capturing life's special moments. Those who knew him say he was the kind of person who could light up any room. Always smiling, always laughing, and always spreading positive energy wherever he went. He had a special bond with his sister Shakeema, the kind of sibling relationship where one would drop everything to help the other. No questions asked. Little did anyone know that this bond would lead to his final moments, trying to protect his sister from an unimaginable betrayal. As for Jaquavia Jackson, he appeared to be the model husband on the surface. He supported his wife's career in law enforcement. He seemed to be a loving father to their young son. He attended family functions, posed for photos, and played his role perfectly. But underneath this carefully constructed facade, he was living a double life that was about to crumble. Two women were about to come forward. Two different families were about to be exposed. And a court date was looming that would reveal everything. In the quiet neighborhoods of Covington, Georgia, where everyone seems to know everyone, secrets have a way of staying buried. But some secrets grow too big to contain. Like a pressure cooker left on the stove too long, they eventually explode. And when they do, lives are shattered forever. It started with a letter, a simple court summons that arrived at the Jackson household. The kind of official document that makes your stomach drop the moment you see it. Two women had come forward, each with a shocking claim that would tear through Shakeema's perfectly constructed world like a tornado. They claimed Jaquavia Jackson, her husband of several years, was the father of their children. But Jaquavia had a plan. He thought he was smarter than the system. Instead of facing the truth, he sent someone else to take the DNA tests. A desperate move that would buy him time, but like all lies, it had an expiration date. That date was October 28, 2021. The court wanted answers about these suspicious DNA tests. Questions were going to be asked. Documents would be examined. And Shakeema, a woman who had dedicated her life to upholding the law, would finally learn the truth about the man sleeping beside her. On the morning of October 27th, Jaquavia was acting strange. He made a call that would later haunt investigators, a call to his neighbor across the street. "Hey, are your security cameras working?" he asked casually, as if inquiring about the weather. The neighbor said no. Jaquavia must have felt relief wash over him. But what he didn't know was that another neighbor's Vivint security system was recording everything. Throughout that day, Shakeema went about her normal routine, completely unaware that these were her final hours. She played with their 17-month-old son, whose innocent laughter echoed through their home on Windcrest Drive. She texted with her brother Levoy, who was coming over later. She had no idea that every message, every call log, would later become evidence in her own murder investigation. As evening fell, Shakeema settled onto her couch, wrapped in a comfortable blanket. The soft glow of her phone illuminated her face as she scrolled through Facebook. Maybe she was looking at photos of her friends' children. Maybe she was reading about her colleagues at the sheriff's office. Maybe she was planning to post about her own perfect-looking life. We'll never know. What we do know is that while she was lost in the mundane comfort of social media, her husband was watching her. The weight of tomorrow's court date pressing down on him. The thought of his lies being exposed to his wife, a respected law enforcement officer, was too much to bear. The facade he had maintained for so long was about to crack. Levoy arrived at the house that night, probably thinking it would be just another evening with his sister. He had no way of knowing that his presence would make him not just a witness but another victim in what was about to unfold. The house on Windcrest Drive sat quiet, like any other home on any other night. Neighbors might have seen lights on through the windows and might have heard the normal sounds of a family evening. None of them could have guessed that inside those walls, a man was about to make a decision that would destroy multiple families in a single night. As the hours ticked by, Jaquavia's plan took shape. The next morning's court date loomed closer. His secret children, his fake DNA tests, his years of deception, it was all about to come crashing down. The clock was ticking toward 10:30 p.m. on that October night. The neighborhood was settling into its usual quiet. Inside the Jackson home, Shakeema remained on the couch, still wrapped in her blanket, still scrolling through her phone. Such an ordinary moment. Such a peaceful scene. The kind of quiet evening that thousands of people were having across Georgia at that very moment. But this evening would end in blood. Jaquavia Jackson watched his wife, the woman who had given him a son. The woman who had built a respectable career in law enforcement. The woman who had no idea that in less than 12 hours, her whole understanding of their marriage would shatter. Tomorrow in court, the truth about his other families would come out. His staged DNA tests would be exposed. His lies would crumble. He had made his decision. The first shots shattered the evening silence. Shakeema, still wrapped in her blanket, had no time to defend herself. No time to reach for her service weapon. No time to call for help. The woman who had spent years protecting others in her role as a deputy couldn't protect herself from the one person she should have been able to trust most. Levoy Brown, hearing the gunshots, likely rushed to protect his sister. But he too fell victim to Jaquavia's desperate attempt to keep his secrets buried. In mere moments, two siblings lay dead in what should have been the safety of their own home. Upstairs, a 17-month-old boy slept, too young to understand that his entire world had just changed forever. But Jaquavia wasn't done. He had to cover his tracks. He fired another shot toward the outside of the house, a calculated move to support the story he was about to tell. Then, in perhaps the most shocking moment of all, he picked up his phone. He didn't call 911 first. Instead, he called his mother-in-law, Zona Inman. His voice trembling with manufactured panic. "Mom! Mom! Someone shot Shakeema and Levoy. They're dead. They're dead." A performance designed to establish his alibi. A grieving husband. A shocked witness to a horrible crime. When the police arrived, Jaquavia's story was ready. Two unknown men had broken in, he claimed. They had killed his wife and brother-in-law, and he had been powerless to stop them. He repeated this story at the sheriff's office, adding details and playing the part of the devastated husband. But killers often make mistakes, and Jaquavia had made several. He didn't know about the neighbor's working security camera, the one that would show no intruders entering or leaving the house that night. He didn't realize that his morning call about security cameras would raise red flags. He couldn't have known that investigators would discover the text messages and call logs that contradicted his carefully crafted story. As dawn broke on October 28th, the court date that Jaquavia had killed to avoid came and went. But instead of facing questions about fake DNA tests, he would face questions about something far more serious. The truth he had tried so desperately to hide would come out anyway, but now it would be stained with the blood of two innocent people. At the sheriff's office where Shakeema had worked, her colleagues were devastated. The bubbly deputy who had just achieved her dream of promotion was gone. The woman who greeted even disrespectful inmates with kindness would never walk those halls again. The news of Shakeema and Levoy's deaths spread through the Fulton County Sheriff's Office like a dark cloud. This wasn't just another murder case. This was one of their own. A deputy who had walked their halls just yesterday was now gone forever. Her brother, known for his bright smile and positive energy, silenced alongside her. For Sheriff Patrick "Pat" Labatt, this was personal. "This is a heartbreaking loss for the Fulton County Sheriff's Office," he announced, his voice heavy with emotion. But words seemed inadequate in the face of such tragedy. How do you explain the loss of someone who had dedicated their life to protecting others, only to be killed in their own home? The investigation moved quickly. Detectives knew they were dealing with something that didn't add up. Jaquavia's story about two mysterious intruders began to unravel like a cheap sweater. Every thread they pulled revealed another lie. The security footage told a different story than Jaquavia's carefully crafted narrative. No intruders had entered the house that night. No mysterious figures had fled into the darkness. The only person who had come and gone was Jaquavia himself. Then there were the text messages, the call logs, the court summons. Piece by piece, investigators assembled a picture of a man whose web of lies had grown so large, so suffocating, that he saw murder as his only escape. At the center of it all was Zona Inman, a mother who had lost not one, but two children in a single night. The pain in her voice was raw, unfathomable as she spoke about her children. They were both very religious, involved in church, loved God and family. Her words painted a picture of two lives well lived, cut tragically short. Standing in front of her home, surrounded by grieving family members and Shakeema's fellow deputies, Zona made a promise that was shocking. "They will get justice," she declared, her voice unwavering. "We will get justice, and that's for sure." But justice couldn't bring back her children. It couldn't restore a mother's embrace or a brother's laughter. It couldn't give a 17-month-old boy back to his parents. As investigators dug deeper, the full extent of Jaquavia's deception came to light. Two separate women had come forward with children they claimed were his. Rather than face the truth, he had orchestrated an elaborate scheme, sending someone else to take DNA tests in his place. It was a house of cards that was about to collapse in court the very next morning. In the end, a jury of his peers saw through his lies. The evidence was overwhelming. The security footage, the suspicious call about cameras, the staged gunshot, the fake DNA tests, the impending court date, all of it painted a picture of premeditated murder. The verdict came down like a hammer, guilty on all counts. 2 counts of felony murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault, 2 counts of malice murder, 2 counts of possession of a firearm during a felony. Each charge was another nail in the coffin of Jaquavia's lies. District Attorney Randy McGinley's words echoed through the courtroom. A daughter and a son were taken from a family in one horrific, premeditated incident. He paused, letting the weight of those words sink in. Nothing can ever make up for the tremendous loss of Shakeema and Levoy. But this verdict holds the person responsible that took them from their family. But what about the lives left behind? What about the young boy who will grow up without his mother's love? What about Zona Inman, who must somehow find the strength to raise her grandson while carrying the weight of her children's murders? The hallways of the Fulton County Sheriff's Office still feel empty without Shakeema's presence. Her fellow deputies remember how she would greet everyone with a smile. They remember her excitement at becoming a deputy, her dedication to serving others, and her love for her young son. And Levoy, his passion for photography will never capture another moment. His love for fashion and music was silenced forever. The positive energy he brought to every room he entered is now just a memory in the hearts of those who knew him. This story isn't just about murder. It's not just about lies or secret children or fake DNA tests. It's about the red flags we miss, the warning signs we ignore, the secrets that grow in the dark until they consume everything around them. How many of us know someone who's hiding something? How many of us see the signs but stay silent? How many lives could be saved if we just spoke up? Think about Shakeema, scrolling through Facebook on her couch, wrapped in a blanket, completely unaware that her life was about to end. Think about Levoy, rushing to his sister's aid, not knowing he was walking into his own death. Think about their mother, who received that chilling phone call from the very man who had just murdered her children. The truth always comes out in the end. But sometimes, like in Shakeema's case, it comes out too late. Her story is a warning to all of us, a reminder that the biggest threats often come from those closest to us, that sometimes the person sharing our bed is the one we should fear most. If you're watching this and something feels wrong in your relationship, if the lies are piling up, if the secrets are growing, don't wait. Don't ignore your instincts. Reach out for help. Talk to someone before things get out of hand. The moon still rises over Covington, Georgia. Life goes on. But for one family, nothing will ever be the same. A little boy grows up without his mother. If this story has touched you, if it's opened your eyes to the dangers lurking behind perfect social media posts and happy family photos, then I need you to do something right now. Share this video, not for views or likes, but because someone in your circle might need to hear this story. Someone might recognize these warning signs in their own life. To those living with secrets that are becoming too heavy to bear, maybe this is the perfect time to just open up and let out the weight you've been carrying all alone. And if you feel you can't do it alone, there are people waiting to help you. This deputy thought she had until tomorrow to discover the truth, but that tomorrow never came. To those who suspect a loved one might be in danger, speak up. Have those uncomfortable conversations. Levoy Brown died trying to protect his sister. Don't let another family suffer the same fate. And to those who think their lies and secrets are under control, remember Jaquavia Jackson. Remember how his web of deception led him to commit the unthinkable. Remember that the truth has a way of surfacing, one way or another. The 17-month-old boy who slept through that terrible night is growing up now. He'll never know his mother's touch or his uncle's laugh, but his story and the story of his mother and uncle might save someone else's life. Perhaps you know someone who needs to hear this story. Please do well to share it now. Tomorrow might be too late. This is True Crime Stories 24/7, reminding you that the most dangerous secrets are the ones we keep from those we love most. Stay aware, stay safe, and remember, the truth might hurt, but lies can kill. Until I come your way again, please stay safe. Thank you for watching. God bless you.